Before we jump into the tutorial, I want to share one of my favorite things recently. It's the Minky blanket from Crochet. So mine is in the color marbled gray and it just screams luxury. And bonus, it's double-sided with thick faux fur on one side and smooth flannel on the other side. It's one of my crocheting must-haves because it makes me feel so comfy and so relaxed. Check them out and tell me what color you like the most. So for this tutorial, I will be using 100% cotton yarn that is medium weight 4 with a 5mm hook. So this pattern is done by making the top half of the vest first, and we'll be making the back part first. So we're going to be making the back part of the top half of your vest. So what you're going to want to do is take your bust measurement and divide it by 2. So for example, my bust measurement is 32, and if I divide that by 2, it's going to be 16. So that means I need to make a chain length long enough to reach 16 inches. So to make your chain length, this pattern is done in multiples of 6 plus 1. So that means you're going to keep continuing to make chains that have multiples of 6, and then you're going to add 1 until you reach half of your bust measurement. So for my chain multiple, I did 10 multiples of 6, which was 60, and then I added 1 to make a total of 61. And if I measure my chain length, it is 16 inches long. So if your chain measurement is a little bit more or a little bit less than your actual half bust measurement, then that's okay. Now to begin row 1, you're going to chain up 1, and you're going to single crochet into this second chain from the hook. So I prefer to go to the back bumps of my foundation row, but if you want to go through the front loops, that's okay too. So just make sure you single crochet into that first chain. Now from here, chain 5. And you're going to be skipping 5 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And into this 6th one, place a single crochet. Again, chain 5. You're going to skip 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And into the 6th one, single crochet. Chain 5. Skip 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and into the 6th one, single crochet. So you're going to continue to repeat this pattern of chaining 5, skipping 5, and single crocheting into the 6th chain. You're going to do that all the way across the foundation chain, and when you reach your final single crochet, you are going to end up in that very last chain. So I've just completed row 1, and as you can see, we have our first set of loops coming together. Now, to begin row 2, you are going to chain 5. Now flip your work, and you're going to single crochet into this very first loop that's coming up. Again, chain 5. And single crochet into the next loop. Chain 5 again, single crochet into the next loop, and you're basically just going to repeat this chain 5 and single crocheting into each loop until you reach your last loop, and then I'll show you how to end row 2. Alright, as you can see, I'm reaching my final loop here, so I chained 5 and I'm going to single crochet into that final loop. And then to end this row, you're going to chain 2, and you're going to double crochet into this single crochet at the end of the row. So double crochet into the single. And that completes row 2. So to begin row 3, you're going to chain 1 and flip your work. And you're going to crochet into this very first chain. It's going to be the top of that double crochet that you just made in the previous row. So single crochet into that and chain 5. Now you're going to skip this little loop right here in the beginning, and you're going to go single crochet into this first big loop. Again, chain 5, single crochet into this next loop, chain 5, single crochet into the next loop right here, and you're just going to continue this pattern of chaining 5 and single crocheting into the loops until you reach the end of the row, and I'll show you how to end it again. Now I'm almost at the end of row 3 here, so I'll show you how to finish it. I have this one little loop left, so you're going to chain 5, and then you're going to find the third chain from the bottom, so you're going to count 1, 2, and 3, which is right here, and you're going to single crochet in that third chain from the bottom, and that completes row 3. So at this point in the pattern, you're going to continue repeating rows 2 and 3 until you reach a length of the bottom of your armpit to the top of the back of your neck, or right before your shoulders round. So you're gonna want to get a measuring tape or a shirt that you like, and you're gonna measure the bottom of the armpit right at the bottom of the armhole to the top of the neck before the shoulders start to curve towards the front of our body. So I measured mine, and my distance from the bottom of my armpit to the bottom of my neck in the back is about 7.5 inches. So that means I'm going to keep repeating rows 2 and 3 until I get 7.5 inches. Alright, I've completed repeating rows 2 and 3 until I reached my measurement. So I'm going to go ahead and measure it. So when you measure, make sure the edges are nice and straight, and then you're just going to take your measuring tape, and I'm looking for 7.5 inches for me. So it is about 7.5 inches, so I'm going to stop here. And for reference, I did do a total of 19 rows excluding the foundation chain. If I count the foundation chain, then it's 20, but just the actual loops are 19 rows. So when you reach your measurement, when you reach the end of your row, you're just going to go ahead and chain up 1, and you're actually going to cut off the yarn. And now we're going to work on the shoulder part, or the straps, to go to the front of our body. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to take this pattern that we're looking at right now, and we are going to flip it upside down like that. So now the bottom of our work is at the top, and what you're going to want to do now is measure the width of your shoulder, and you're going to make the same amount of loops that correspond to that. So I'm gonna say my shoulder is about 3 loops wide. If you're a little bit larger, then you might need to go to 4 loops, but I'm making a size small, and 3 loops is okay for me. So that means I'm going to attach my yarn here, and I'm going to continue 3 loops, and I'm just going to make a strap for my shoulder. So let's begin doing that. Alright, so let's make our shoulder strap. So what I'm going to do is just work 3 loops until I get to the front of my body. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can all see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to prepare my yarn with a slip knot at the end. And then I'm going to attach it to the very corner right here. And then you can grab your yarn and pull it through, and you're going to chain up 1. And then in that same chain space that you just entered, you're going to go in with a single crochet. So what we're doing here is the row 2 increase. So we're repeating row 2 here, but only doing the width of our shoulder portion. So for me it was 3 loops. If you're a little bit larger or smaller, you can do 2 or 4 loops. So after single crocheting, you're going to chain 5. Again, I'm just repeating row 2 here, and I'm going to single crochet into this first loop. Again, chain 5. And then single crochet into the next loop. chain 5, and then I'm just going to single crochet into this last loop that I indicated. And then again, to end that row 2, you're just going to chain 2 and you're going to double crochet in this single crochet right before the next loop begins. So now you're going to do the row 3 or the row 3 repeat. So you're going to chain 1, you're going to flip your work, and you're going to do the row 3 repeat on this side. So after chaining 1, again, you single crochet into that first space, and then you're going to chain 5. You're going to skip that little loop right there, and you're going to go straight into this big one and do a single crochet. Again, chain 5, single crochet into this next loop, chain 5, and then you're going to single crochet into the third chain from the bottom. So you're going to find the third chain, and it is going to be this one right here. So just single crochet to that. And then from here, you're just going to keep, again, continuing rows 2 and 3 until you reach the front of your body right before your bust begins, or right at the top of your bust, right when your cleavage is starting to dip in the middle of your chest. So you're just going to want to continue rows 2 and 3 for the shoulder part until you reach the front of your body at the top of your bust, right before your cleavage dips in the middle of your chest. So I'm going to keep doing my rows and I'll show you how much I end up making. Alright, so I finished making my loops. Again, these loops go from the back of my shoulder all the way to the front of my body, right before the dip of my cleavage begins in the middle of my chest. So I did a total of 16 rows, and if I measure that, that is about 7 inches from where I attached it to the bottom here. And I also want to mention that when you're making the shoulder portion, you want to end on the row 3 repeat. So the row 3 repeat was when you started with that one single crochet, and then you put that single crochet in the beginning, and then you end with a single crochet in the third chain from the bottom. So that's the row you always want to end on for this. So no matter what length you're making for your shoulder part, end on a row 3 repeat. Okay, so now we're going to begin tapering this portion in to the middle of our body. This side's going to stay straight and this side's going to go like this, so we can put the little tie in the front of our body where our chest is. So to do that, okay, so I ended on this row 3 repeat, so I'm on this side. I'm going to start with my row 2 increase. Okay, to make it easier which side you're increasing to taper to the middle of our body, I'm just going to put a little chain marker on the side that I am increasing. Again, this side's going to stay straight and this one is increasing. So after ending on that row 3 repeat, I'm going to go ahead and do the row 2 repeat, and it's just going to end a little bit differently because we need to increase this side. So for the row 2, again, you're going to chain 5, and then you're going to single crochet in this first loop like you normally would, and then chain 5 again to get to the next loop, chain 5, and then single crochet into the last loop. And then to end this row, because you're increasing, you're actually going to chain 5 again right before you end, and then you can double crochet into this single crochet. So normally you would just chain 2 and double crochet, but again, because we're increasing, you want to chain 5 and then double crochet. So you can see it's already beginning to go inwards right here and like taper towards the middle of our body. So now to start the next row. So the next row was the row 3 repeat, but we're going to start it a little bit differently because again, we're going to increase on this side. So you're going to chain 8, 7, 8, and then you can turn your work. And then you can single crochet into this first loop. Now go ahead and just chain 5, single crochet into all the next loops, and you're going to end this row like how you would normally end this row. So you're just gonna, when you're coming up on this last loop, because you're keeping this side straight, you're just going to chain 5, and then you're again just going to single crochet in that third chain from the bottom. Okay, so now let's do the next row, but we're just keeping this side straight again. We're going to taper on this side, so we're going to do that repeat of row 2 with an increase at the end. So let's do the row 2 repeat. So you're going to chain 5, you can flip your work, and then go ahead and single crochet in that first loop, chain 5 again, single crochet into the next loop, chain 5, single crochet in this loop, chain 5, single crochet in this loop, then chain 5, and you're going to double crochet into the third chain from the bottom. So that's going to be 1, 2, and 3. So into that third chain from the bottom, you place a double crochet. Okay, so let's repeat the row 3 increase row again. So again, you're going to chain 8, flip, you're gonna single crochet in this very first loop right here. You're gonna chain 5 and just keep single crocheting into all the loops, and then I'll show you again how to end the row for this increase row 3 repeat. And then since you're keeping this side straight, so after chaining 5 again, you're just going to single crochet in the third chain from the bottom. So that is how you increase those 2 repeat rows. So you're basically just gonna want to keep doing those 2 increase rows until you get to the bottom of your bust. So right underneath your breasts is where you're going to stop. So no matter what length you decide or how many rows you decide to do for the increase part, you always want to make sure you end on that row 3 increase row. And that row 3 increase row is just what we did last with the chain 8 at the beginning or at the end, depending on where you're starting. When you decide you're done with your increases, when you reach the bottom of your bust, again, make sure you end on that row 3 increase row. And when you're all done, you can just chain up 1 and cut off your yarn. And then now, what you're going to do is repeat the shoulder portion on this side of the vest. So you're going to keep it this side up again. We want to keep the right side on the right side, and we're just going to repeat the straight part here, and then I'll show you how to do the increase for this side because it's a little bit different. So if you can remember, I did 3 loops here, so you're going to want to make sure however many loops you went into to make your shoulder portion, you match it on the other side. So for me, I did 3, so I'm going to start at the end of this loop 3. So here's 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to start right here. So just prepare your yarn with a slip knot. And then insert into the end of the loop that you chose. You're going to chain up 1, and you're going to go back in that same chain and do a single crochet. So again, chain 5, and you're just going to go into here with a single, chain 5 again, go into here with a single, chain 5, next loop with a single, and because this is a row 2 repeat, you're going to chain 2 and then find that single crochet at the bottom, and you're going to double crochet into that. Okay, from here you're just gonna keep repeating. So now that was a row 2 repeat, so let's do a row 3. So you're just gonna chain up 1, you're gonna flip, and for row 2 again you chain up 1 and you single crochet into that first chain, then you can chain 5, skip this little loop, single crochet into the next big loop, chain 5, single crochet into the next loop, chain 5, single crochet into the third chain from the bottom, so 1, 2, 3. So right here you're going to single crochet, and at this point you're just going to continue to repeat rows 2 and 3 until you get the same amount of rows that you made on the right side. So for me, I did a total of 16 rows where it was just straight before the increases. So for your part, you want to match it exactly here. So just work on the straight part and then I'll show you how to increase. Alright, so I have matched the straight portion of my shoulder to this side, and now we're going to begin to increase on this side to match this side, except we're going to be increasing this way now to meet this one right in the middle. So I'm just going to place my stitch marker on this side again so I don't get confused on which side I'm increasing. And if you remember, for the shoulder portion you always want it to end on a row 3 so that you can start with a row 2 and then a row 3 and row 2 and row 3. So we're just going to start repeating row 2 and 3 again, except we're going to have increases. So after finishing this last row 3 right here, to begin the increase row for row 2, you're going to chain 8. 8. Alright, after chaining 8, go ahead and just flip your work, and you're going to single crochet into these loops, and then just chain 5, and then you would complete this row like how you always completed a row 2 repeat, because you're not increasing at the end. So after you do the chain up of 8, you did the 5 loops, you're going to chain 2 and you're just going to double crochet to that single crochet at the bottom of the previous row. Okay, so now let's repeat row 3, and since we're starting on this side, there will be no increases until we get to the end of this next row. So you're just going to chain 1, flip, single crochet into this first chain right here, and then chain 5, skip this little loop again, here, chain 5, single crochet into the next, chain 5, single crochet into this very final loop right here. Again, chain 5. Now we're increasing, so you're going to chain 5, 1 2 3 4 5, and then you're going to double crochet into the third chain from the bottom. So 1 2 and 3, so double crochet into that chain to finish that increase row. So that is increase row 3 for this side of our vest. So I'll show you again how to do increase row 2. So to increase row 2, again, you're going to chain up 8. Go ahead and flip your work, and you're just going to single crochet into the first loop, chain 5 again, and you're just gonna finish up this row like you normally would, because again, we're keeping that one side straight. So that means when you get to the end, you're just going to chain 2 and double crochet in that single crochet. So let's do one last row together, and I'm going to show you how to increase row 3 again. So you chain 1 and you flip. You're going to start this row like normal because we're not increasing on this side. Chain 1, flip, and single crochet into the first chain, chain 5. Skip that little loop, go into the big loop, chain 5 again. Chain 5. Single crochet in the next loop, chain 5 again. Single crochet into this last loop, chain 5, and you're going to double crochet in the third chain from the bottom. So now if we turn this all right sides out, you can see that we match the same amount of increases that we did on this side. And if you actually flip your vest, so far we have something that looks like this. So again, you can just continue repeating those increase rows for however many you needed them. You just want to make sure you end on a row 3 increase row again. So this is what we have so far. And what I'm going to do here, since I finished my increase rows, I'm just going to chain up 1 and cut off that yarn. So as you can see here, this is what the front of our vest is looking like. So now we're going to actually join the front and back together at the side seams, and then we're going to continue to go around and do rows 2 and 3 until we get the length that we want. Alright, so to join our front and back panels, again, you're just going to want to turn your vest, and you're going to want to look at it this way. And let's start by joining these two sides together. So I'm just going to open it up so it's easier to see. I want to make sure that my armholes are lined up here, just like this, so that when I flip it, it's correct. So these are the two sides that I need to join. So what I'm going to do now is just prepare my yarn with a slip knot. And I'm going to go right here to the very corner of the back piece. And I'm just going to insert my hook in that very corner. You can grab your yarn, and you're going to chain 5. And then you're going to find the corner of your front piece, which is right here. And you're going to slip stitch into that corner. and you can chain up one and cut off that yarn. So now those two arm pieces, or the front and the back, are connected with a chain 5. So now that we're done with that side, let's go ahead and do the same thing to this side. So I'm just going to open it up so you can see it like this. So we're connecting these two right here. Okay. Again, get your slip knot and grab your yarn and prep a slip knot at the end. Find the very corner of this piece, grab the yarn, and then you're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to find the corner of this piece, and you're just going to slip stitch right into that. Okay, so now chain up 1 and cut off your yarn. So now your little vest is put together at the armholes, and what we're going to do is now just continue rows 2 and 3 until we get the length that we want. So I am going to start, you can start in any corner, so I'm going to actually flip mine over like this, and I'm going to start at this corner. So you want to grab your yarn and again prepare a slip knot at the end. And then you're going to insert that yarn at the top of this double crochet on the last increase row that we made for the front. If you don't see the double crochet, you can always just go in the 3rd chain from the bottom, but it should be this very corner piece at the very top of that last double crochet. So grab your yarn and you're going to chain up 5. So now from here, you're just gonna repeat row 2. So after chaining up 5, you're gonna single crochet in the first loop, you're gonna chain 5, and just repeat row 2 without any increases. So you're just gonna do this row like you did in the beginning with no increases or anything like that. So I'm just going to keep going until I get to the armhole portion, and then I'll show you what to do when you get there. So as you can see, I'm actually almost there. So I have this one last loop before the armhole. So what you're going to do here is just chain 5, and you're going to crochet, single crochet into this armhole like this. Chain 5 again, and then just find your next loop and keep going. So now I'm at the back of my vest, and I'm just going to keep chaining 5 and single crocheting. Okay, we're almost at the end here. We have one more loop. If you remember, this was an increase loop, but we're not doing any more increases. So we're going to end this row like we normally would. So first let's chain 5 to get to that loop. And now we're just going to chain 2, and we're going to double crochet in the 3rd chain from the bottom. And that completes your regular row. So now we're just going to repeat row 3. So if you recall, for the row 3, you're going to chain up 1, flip your work, single crochet into that very first chain, then you can chain 5 and skip that little chain right there, or skip that little loop right here, and then go into the next big loop and start single crocheting. And you're just going to continue with your chain 5s and single crochets. Okay, so I wanted to show you we're at the armhole here, so you don't do anything different, you don't do anything fancy, you're just going to continue with your chain 5s and single crochets until you reach the end of the row. Alright, so we're almost at the end of this row 3, so I wanted to show you in case you forgot how to end it normally. So chain 5 and go into the second to last loop, and then you're going to chain 5 again. And in the very last loop, you're just going to single crochet in the third chain from the bottom. And that's all you would do. So from here, you're just going to continue to repeat rows 2 and 3 with no increases until you get to the desired length of the vest that you want. So just keep trying it on and keep going until you get to the length that you want. And once you get there, I'll show you how to do the edging or the border design. Just make sure that no matter what length you choose, you end on the row 2 repeat this time. Alright, so I finished making my extra rows after my increase, and I did a total of 5 extra rows with no increases, and I made sure to end on that row 2 repeat. So now it's time to make our border. So make sure that your yarn is still attached, you didn't cut it from your last row. And I'm just going to flip mine so it's oriented the right way. Alright, so as you can see, the end of the row 2 repeat ended with the chain 2 and double crochet at the end. So to begin the border, you are just going to chain 1 and you're going to single crochet into that very first chain. Then you're going to see this next single crochet right here, and you're going to place 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. After you place 3, we're going to make a little picot design at the top. So you're going to chain 3, and then you're going to slip stitch into the top of that double crochet that you just made. So you're going to go through this loop here and the one right next to it, just like this, and you're going to slip stitch, and then you can make 2 more double crochets in that same chain. So as you can see, we made a total of 5 double crochets in that chain, except the third one had a little picot design at the top of it. So after making that 5th one, you're going to go in this loop immediately after it right here, and you're just going to single crochet. And then you're going to find the next single crochet again, which is right here, and you're going to place 5 double crochets, but the third one will have a picot on top. So make 3 double crochets first. 1, 2, 3. Now for the picot, you're going to chain 3, and you're going to slip stitch to the top of that double crochet. And then you're going to finish up your shell with 2 more double crochets in that same chain. So now you see the next loop again, you're going to single crochet into that, and then you're going to see your next chain this next chain right here, and you're again gonna do your 5 double crochets with that picot on top of the third. And then single crochet in the next loop. So you're just going to repeat this border pattern all along the edge, and then I'll see you when we come back. Since I'm almost done with my border here, I want to show you how to complete the very last single crochet. So I went in with my 5 double crochets in that last chain, and then I have one little loop left here. So you're actually just going to find the 3rd chain from the bottom and single crochet into that. And then you can chain up 1 and cut off your yarn. And you can see your really nice shell design with that little peak at the bottom of it. So now let's make the strap. Alright, to make my strap, I actually switched to a smaller hook size, so I went down to a 4. You don't have to do that. I just like my chain straps really tight, so I always size down when making straps. So to begin our chain, you're going to want to make a slip knot at the end of your yarn. And then we're going to start with a picot. So we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to slip stitch into that very first chain that you made. Just like that. And now you can make your chain length. So just keep creating chains until you get the length that you want for your front tie. So we're just making one strap, so make sure it's enough to loop on both sides of your vest and make a bow in the middle. Alright, so I finished making my chain strap, and before I make the little picot at the end, I'm just going to measure how long I've made, so in case you need a reference. My chain strap with the picot in the beginning is 20 inches. So I made a chain strap of about 20 inches, and now that I've reached my desired length, I'm going to make my little design at the end. So after making your desired length, make sure to hold that last chain with your nail or with your finger, and you're going to make a picot at the end. So you're going to chain 3, then you're going to go into that very first chain that you just made, and you're going to slip stitch into that. And then from here you can chain up 1 and just cut off your yarn. And go ahead and make sure to weave all the ends in. Alright, so I've weaved in the ends of my strap, and I'm just gonna place it anywhere you want on the vest, really. So it's completely up to you, however you want to wear it. If you want to wear the bow high or low, it's completely up to you. And I'm just gonna make a little bow in the middle. And that is the end of our vest. So I'm gonna take some measurements in case you're wondering how big my vest is. So from the top, from the end of the shoulder to the end of the shoulder, it is 11.5 inches. So from top to bottom, it is about 13 inches, and then the bottom width is about 13.5 inches. So I hope you all enjoyed this pattern, and I can't wait to see how you all make your vest. I'll see you all in the next tutorial. Bye.